The Canon R50 might actually be one of the most underrated cameras which has come out in the last 5 years. And I am talking about the original R50 variant of this camera. This camera honestly surprised me by the way it has performed, and honestly I think it can stand up to some of the bigger cinema cameras in terms of the image quality that it provides. And in this video I'm going to tell you a little bit why I think so. So is the Canon R50 one of the best budget hybrid cameras that you can get in 2025? Let's talk about it. The Canon R50 was released in 2023. This camera has a sensor that shoots in 6K and downsamples those videos from 6K to 4K, and it creates some honestly amazing images. For photography, this camera definitely shines and definitely stands out. And when it comes to videography, it also can hold its own. Comparing this camera to my Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K, I was honestly surprised with the performance. And cameras like this are things that people often neglect and don't consider great when it comes to video performance. And I think this thing holds its own when it comes to video performance. Video performance on this maxes out at 4K 30 FPS, but I think frankly that is actually really good for what a lot of people need. And if you need to get a little bit slow motion, you can just go down to 1080p. 60 FPS is also 1080p, 180 FPS, which honestly seems a little bit overkill for most people. But 4K 30 with this and a gimbal, you can get some really beautiful shots. Now, one thing to keep in mind, this thing has an APS-C size sensor, which means there will be a crop factor when you're using full frame lens such as this Sigma 18-45 lens right here. But the thing is, cameras like this, one thing you need to focus on especially is that you make sure you have good glass to pair with the good sensor, because comparing cheaper lenses to more expensive lenses with this camera, the results honestly vary so much, and it is a drastic difference in the quality and performance that you get out of this camera. I think this camera sold for $999 when it came out. Don't quote me on that because I may be wrong on the numbers. I think right now you could probably get this for about 500 US if you find a good deal online. And honestly, I think this is quite a steal for that price. Now, I love the fact that the sensor on this actually downsamples from 6K to 4K, although it is an APS-C sensor. The cool thing is that when you shoot with this camera in 4K and even 1080p and all the other resolutions, there is literally no crop on the sensor itself. There is a crop on the lens that you're using, but you do get the full width and the full size of the sensor when you're actually shooting in 6K. Also, sadly, this does not have open gate, but I mean, frankly, that's not really a big issue. You could honestly just tilt it vertically and horizontally when you need to shoot things, and it gets the job done. Now, let's talk about color. This does not shoot in any log or flat color profiles. There is, I think, a neutral profile, but what you shoot is what you get out of camera. You can make slight adjustments in post, especially when using DaVinci Resolve, and you can get some really good output from that. And I'm not complaining because you actually get really good images once you know what you're doing, and the really good images that you get out of this can actually give you some really good video output results. Literally, recently I've shot with this camera quite a lot, and honestly I am in love with it. Especially paired with this lens, you can get some really sharp detailed photos and videos. Now, one thing to keep in mind, especially when it comes to shooting with low budget cameras or even just any camera in general, even higher budget cinema cameras, regardless of the specs or the performance or whatever your camera has, make sure you understand how to work with your lighting. Now, this is something that I cannot stress on enough. Lighting is exceedingly important. Knowing how to light your image, knowing how to light a room, knowing how to work with the light that is available to you makes a drastic difference in the final output of your video. Now, if I just had this camera pointed at someone and the lighting was terrible, the lighting was just straight on or flat from above, it would look horrendous. If there was even barely any lighting, it would look terrible. But because I understand how to craft and control lighting, I can get some really beautiful images out of this camera, and so can you, because lighting makes a drastic difference, as does having good lenses and also having good audio. Because these three things together, I consider them the golden pyramid of videography, photography, film production. These three things together make such a drastic difference to the final output of your work, and it is worth understanding how these things work. When it comes to understanding lighting, framing, and good composition, audio is one of the most important things, especially when you have good music for your videos. And that brings me to the sponsor of today's video, Artlist. This video is brought to you by Artlist, one of the best sources for background music for your videos, sound effects, editing and graphics templates, and stock footage. So if you're looking for an amazing platform that you can go to, use the link in the description down below and you will get 2 months off your very first purchase of Artlist Max. Now I want to give you a side-by-side comparison of my Cinema Camera 6K full frame and this Canon R50 with this current lighting setup, and I want you to judge by yourself to see how close the images look and how detailed the image looks. Now it won't have as much power and detail as the Cinema Camera 6K, but it is definitely going to be more than worth it. So now what you're seeing on screen is the comparison of the two cameras. Now, while this isn't an exactly scientific comparison and it's not a one-to-one comparison, being that there are slight differences in the images, I think you kind of admit that seeing those two cameras and the two images side by side, the R50 images are extremely usable, more than usable actually. They are very, very good, and especially at 4K you can actually do some really good work with this, especially when you head into DaVinci, and the details that you get from this camera are very sharp. But when it comes to video production, it can hold up its own and it can actually capture some beautiful images. Now if you are on a budget and if you're at a point when you cannot afford one of the heftier cinema cameras, especially the high-end cameras of Canon, Sony, and cameras by Blackmagic design, even red cameras, I think that you can actually get away with using a camera such as this and not have to spend a lot of money to get a camera that shoots log, a camera that shoots 6K, a camera that has everything else that has been hyped up but not necessarily most people need. If you're getting into more professional higher end work, then definitely, if you can afford to, get one of the higher end cameras. But this can hold its own, and this is more than enough when it comes to giving you a beautiful image output. Now let's talk a little bit about a few of the caveats of having the R50. First off, the camera does not have in-body image stabilization, but Canon's digital image stabilization does really great work and actually performs very well when it comes to using this camera handheld. Secondly, it has one single SD card slot, which honestly I don't think that is really a complaint. Get a good size SD card and you honestly will be shooting for so long. Battery life is actually really good when you have the Canon batteries. Some of the alternatives, they're really terrible, but when you have a Canon battery, it actually lasts very long and battery life goes a very long way, especially when shooting video for long periods of time. Another key thing to note is that this camera uses the Canon RF mount system, so keep that in mind if you plan to get this camera, because you need to get RF lenses, or if you want to just spend a little bit extra, you could just get an EF to RF adapter and use EF lenses with this camera. And honestly, Canon's adapter works really well, so you can actually get that because it does perform really well. Yeah. Now another thing that I've mentioned previously is also the color and video output. Videos are output in H.264 MP4 files, and honestly you do some really good work with them if you know what you're doing in post, and if you know what you're doing before post, so you don't actually have to make a lot of changes in post. Keep that in mind. Now, while this video is not the most technical review of the Canon R50, you can probably find other people who go deeper and deeper into the specs. I think it is actually just something that I really wanted to make and really wanted to point out, being the fact that you don't always need to get the most expensive or the newest or the most fancy cameras out there. As long as you have a solid camera that can capture solid images, you understand lighting, you understand composition, you know how to work with your audio, how to get clean audio, and you know how to shoot things so they look good and work with the lighting that you have, whether it's natural, artificial, whatever it is. As long as you understand those things, you can get some really good images. Also, don't forget having a good lens. That goes a long way as well. But yeah, I hope you actually enjoyed this video. This is actually something that I think I'll be doing a lot more of. I have a lot more gear coming in soon that I'm really excited to talk about. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment your thoughts down below. Really subscribe, it helps the channel a lot. And check out the sponsor for today's video, Artlist. They are linked, first link in the description down below. I think, I have no idea actually, there's somewhere in the description. Check it out, you can enjoy this stuff. Thanks for watching this video. Subscribe, like, share, comment, whatever, you know the drill. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.